So it looks like we are on the play, which is good, but this hand is kind of mediocre. I think we should probably mulligan. I think this 6 is fine. And we get a scry, so can't forget about that. Okay, this is interesting. Titan strength on top. Huh. Alright, let's try and keep it. Hopefully our Swift Spear doesn't die. The plan is to just ride the Swift Spear and then pump it up with these Titan Strengths in the Temur Battle Rage, I guess. Uh-oh. Looks like our plan is not going to work out the way we wanted it to. Well, we're going to have to draw a creature if we want to win this game. Atarka Red or Mono Red decks are kind of difficult for a deck like Blue Red Prowess to deal with, just because of Wild Slash and Fire Impulse kills most of our stuff. But if we draw another creature, we'll be in reasonable shape. So we'll just have to wait. There are essentially 12 Prowess creatures and then 4 Jace. Only 16 creatures total. Abbott's a good one. Wish we had one, but we don't. Our opponent does. Yeah, I mean, just one of those hands where we kept largely hoping that the Swift Spear wouldn't die, and then turn 1, boop, shock it. So it's kind of something that can just happen. We're not completely dead, but we're in really a rough spot, to be honest. Ooh, there's the Goblin Bushwhacker. Looks like we're going to be taking 7 here. And not a great draw. We'll fire off this Slip Through Space on one of our opponent's creatures. Did find a Jace. It's something. The reason I didn't play the land is to have something to loot away when we activate our Jace. But since our opponent just played their 4th land, it's likely we're up against a ton of gas. Yeah, alright, we're just dead here. That's fine. We'll go to the next game. So, versus Mono Red, we definitely want to keep our slashes and our fire impulses. We don't need to do too much differently. Duress is pretty nice. Duress and Dispel, I think, are the cards I'd be looking at potentially siding in. I think we can take out some amount of the cantrip stuff. Yeah, this seems fine. Maybe we don't even need the Dispels. Just board in the Duresses. Yeah, this hand's probably a keep. It's not amazing. It's once again a 1 creature hand. But this deck doesn't play that many creatures to begin with. So the plan is going to be to get the Sunken Hollow off the Delta. And so we can just fire off the Duress if we want to. Or we can play Jace, but depending on what we draw, we may just want to go ahead and play the Duress. Well, we drew Storm Chaser Mage, which is pretty good. Yeah, let's just go ahead and fire that guy in. The reason why I do want to play the Mage here is because it dodges Fiery Impulse, it dodges Wild Slash, so it's pretty unlikely that it's going to die. And then we can deal 1 this turn. Then we have a pretty nice turn next time around when we get to start with Duress and then follow up with Jace. So that's a pretty solid start now that we've drawn the Storm Chaser. I like our chances better. And we'll see what our opponent's up to here. Likely going to have something like a Dragon Fodder or something to do, I would guess. Or just passing the turn, that's even better for us. And we drew Abbott. So, yep, let's go ahead and lead on this Duress. Looks like our opponent's not sure about responses, but it looks like it's gonna resolve. And, okay. So, our opponent's 1 threat is actually a Hooting Mandrills, which could come down next turn. Outside of that, there's a couple of different spot removal spells. Let's just go ahead and take Fiery Impulse here. Yeah. Take the Fiery Impulse. And get in there. We have the option of playing Jace. It would probably just die to the Fiery Impulse, but to the Wild Slash, which we left in our opponent's hand, but I think we do want to just play Jace here. Our opponent also has access to Roast, so yeah, that's fine. It got Wild Slashed, and now our opponent's most likely gonna just play Hooting Mandrills. Although, maybe something else. Okay, Abbott was actually the draw step, and Abbott is... okay, that's good for us, essentially. Our opponent revealed a Tarkus command, which isn't castable off the Abbott, so rather than having to deal with a 4/4 trample, we're dealing with a 2/1 Prowess for this turn. Seems better. We're looking for removal. Treasure Cruise would be a nice draw. So that sort of stuff. But let's lead off on this Abbott. The other option is we could hold the Abbott for next turn. Does that really do a whole lot for us? The good thing about holding it is that if we hit a cruise, next turn we'd be able to cast it. I think we still just go ahead and play it, and we hope not to hit Treasure Cruise or Colligan's Command, because unfortunately if we do hit those, we won't be able to cast them. It just ends up being a land. Okay. So, yeah, I don't love our spot because we've kind of had a land heavy draw up to this point, but we can make it work, I think. The Hooting Mandrills is still looming, though. And so one of our big cards, like a Cruise or Call Against Command, are going to be good draws here. Additional creatures like Abbott would be pretty good. So we'll see. We didn't board in Roast because we weren't sure if our opponent would have stuff like the Hooting Mandrills, but maybe for Game 3, hopefully it'll get to a Game 3 and we'll be able to readjust our thinking process. Kind of glad I didn't board in the Dispels, though. There's not that many instances that we've seen. Our opponent does have a Tarkus command in hand, which we don't want to forget about, but I would guess that this turn is going to be just playing Hooting Mandrills. Or it could be Hooting Mandrills and Zergo. Looks like that's what's going to happen. So we have a big draw step coming up. We really don't want to land. There's a number of spells that would be okay. There's some that would be actively very good. Okay, Titan Strength is an interesting one. So, we could go ahead and cast the Titan Strength right away, and that would make our Storm Chaser a 5 power. Then we could go ahead and Battle Rage. Or we could just wait until next turn and go for a similar play. Now on the crackback, our opponent's got 8 plus essentially another 7 from the Tarkus command we know about. But on the flip side, if we wait until next turn, then we know we can't kill our opponent this turn, right? We've only got 4, 5 power, 6 power. Yeah, we can bring our opponent to 2 this turn. So we're going to need to draw a spell. The thing I like about just a... Well... Alright, let's go ahead and fire off the Titan Strength here. And we're going to get a Scry. The reason why I like this better is because if our opponent cracks us, and we drew Fiery Impulse, that's actually not bad. I think we want to top it. And just go ahead and play the Battle Rage to bring our opponent to 2. And I believe our opponent with the Atarka's command can bring us down to 1 on the crack back. But what's more likely is our opponent will leave back a blocker to defensively use the Atarka's command to give creatures +1/+1 in reach. Unless our opponent top decks something here to just kill us, which is definitely a possibility. Hopefully our opponent does not leave back the Hooting Mandrills, but looks like that is going to happen. The reason why I like this line is because, while it seems nice to just attack our opponent for 1 the past turn, if our opponent attacks us with everything, we wouldn't be able to fetch, so we wouldn't be able to go Titan Strength, Team or Battle Rage, and crack fetch, and then play Fiery Impulse. So I'm fine with this particular line. But we're not in the best spot because we just have to pass the turn back here. Atarka's command defensively isn't something a lot of players thinking about, but it's clear our opponent is thinking about it. And if our opponent had, say, attacked with the Mandrills, we could have just Fire Impulsed away the Abbot and attacked for the win. But that's not what happened. So we're still in a spot where we likely need to top deck something. I wonder if our opponent's only going to send the Abbot. No, it looks like the Hooting Mandrills is coming in as well. I think we're pretty much... I think we have to take this and just hope to top deck on our next turn. If we draw a removal spell for a Goblin token, that would be good enough. But unfortunately, our draw was just a land. Alright, time to attack and hope our opponent doesn't Atarkas command us, I guess. Pretty sure we're dead. Yeah, we're just dead. Oh well.